Billionaire Bradley Garrett stood frozen in the moonlit garden, watching in disbelief as his maid, Anna Cross, wrapped her arms around the gardener, Andrew Riojas, and kissed him like he didn't exist. In that single moment, everything he thought he controlled unraveled, and what he did next shocked everyone. The Garrett estate was alive before the city even opened its eyes. At the highest point of the mansion, inside a sleek office wrapped in glass and steel, Bradley Garrett adjusted his platinum cufflinks and sipped his third espresso of the morning. Every movement was sharp, deliberate, efficient, like the man himself. The CEO of Garrett Innovations didn't just run a billion-dollar empire, he commanded it. His eyes scanned the stock tickers flashing across a wall-sized screen, but his thoughts drifted elsewhere. His mansion, sprawling, immaculate, and silent, had started to feel more like a prison. It was filled with everything, and yet nothing. Bradley glanced at a dusty photo buried behind business awards on a shelf, his ex-wife, smiling beside their daughter, Ava. A family he barely knew how to be part of, a life he had traded for dominance. He turned the frame face down. In the sun-drenched back gardens, Andrew Riojas knelt in the soil, coaxing life from the earth with his bare hands. His tanned arms were smeared with dirt, his shirt clinging to his back, and his focus locked on a new patch of orchids Mrs. Sloane, the housekeeper, had ordered to impress visiting investors. He wiped sweat from his brow and stood, stretching his back with a grunt. His hands were strong, honest, and they'd built everything he owned without debt or luck. He glanced up toward the second-floor kitchen window. She was there again. Anna Cross. Inside the gleaming marble kitchen, Anna Cross moved like water, fluid, silent, careful. The scent of fresh lemons and rosemary filled the air as she prepped breakfast for a man who never noticed her presence. Her apron was spotless, her timing perfect. But her mind wandered. She had been here for 2 years. Raised in a neighborhood the Garrett family would never set foot in, Anna learned early that silence was survival. She made herself small, invisible, until recently, when someone started seeing her. When she passed Andrew in the garden, he didn't just nod politely. He smiled. He asked how she was. He remembered her favorite flower. He listened. The first real moment came by accident. Anna dropped a bowl of strawberries near the edge of the greenhouse. Andrew happened to be nearby. He knelt beside her, helped her pick them up. Their hands brushed, their eyes met. The air between them thickened, tense but electric. Neither spoke, but everything shifted. Above them, in the master suite window, Bradley happened to glance down. He saw her. He saw him. And though they were still a few feet apart, something in Anna's expression, unburdened, soft, alive, hit him like a punch to the chest. She had never looked at him like that, and he felt something sharp and dangerous rise in his throat. It started with a storm, not outside, inside. Bradley Garrett stepped into the greenhouse unexpectedly, his polished shoes barely making a sound on the marble floor as the glass roof trapped the last blush of sunset. He wasn't supposed to be here. This was the staff's world, not his, but something pulled him toward it, toward her. He found Anna humming softly to herself, arranging flowers in a vase for the breakfast table. Her back was to him. There was no one else around. "Anna," he said, his voice lower than usual. She startled slightly and turned, wiping her hands on her apron. "Yes, sir?" Bradley looked at her, really looked. Her eyes avoided his, her posture too respectful, too small. And yet, he noticed her trembling hands. "Have you been crying?" he asked suddenly. "No, sir," she said quickly. But she had, and he saw it now, just under the surface. He wanted to ask more, but the words didn't come. He was never good at feelings, only control. Instead, he said, "The roses look good." She smiled faintly. "Thank you, sir." Anna walked the path behind the mansion, alone and quiet. She liked to end her night in silence where no one could stare, command, or judge her. Except tonight. Someone was there. Andrew. He stood by the old water spigot, rinsing tools. He looked up as she approached, his face lighting up even under the dim outdoor lamp. "You okay?" he asked gently. She hesitated. "I don't know." "Talk to me." And just like that she did. For the first time in weeks she talked, about her dreams, her fears, her confusion about her place in this house and in Bradley's world. And Andrew, he listened, fully, without interrupting, without analyzing, just listened. And then he stepped closer, brushing a loose braid behind her ear. That single touch sparked something dangerous, beautiful. She didn't pull away, and neither did he. Through the security monitor, Bradley watched. He had passed by the hallway, accidentally catching the footage of the service yard's rear camera. It wasn't spying, at least that's what he told himself. He paused when he saw Anna and Andrew. They were close, too close. Then the screen showed Andrew leaning in, a kiss, soft, slow, unmistakable. Bradley's hand gripped the edge of the console. He felt it. Not jealousy exactly, but something darker, something like loss, and it came crashing down all at once. She had never looked at him like that. Not once. If you're still watching right now, then something about this story has already gripped you. And if you felt that moment, Anna and Andrew under the night sky, don't just sit there quietly. Subscribe. Because this love, it's about to be tested like hell. Anna sat on the edge of her small, tidy bed, staring at her reflection in the vanity mirror. Her lips still tingled from the kiss, but her stomach twisted in guilt. She couldn't do this. She shouldn't feel this way. Not for Andrew, not here, not under Bradley Garrett's roof. This house had rules, even when they weren't spoken. And people like her, they didn't get love stories. They got warnings. She clutched the gold cross her mother gave her. Please, God, don't let this destroy everything. Andrew worked with his head down, his hands moving faster than usual. He hadn't slept. All night he replayed her voice, her touch, her kiss. But what scared him more than wanting her was how much she clearly didn't want to be seen wanting him. She hadn't replied to his message. She avoided the garden. Still, part of him refused to regret the kiss, because for one fleeting moment he felt chosen, not for convenience or pity or distraction, but for who he was. That was a rare thing for a man like him. Bradley sat at his desk, staring blankly at a contract worth $40 million. He hadn't signed it. Instead, his mind was drowning in questions. Why did she kiss him? Was she using him? Was she laughing behind his back? Or worse, was she simply in love? The thought hollowed him. He remembered how Anna looked when she first came to work for him, eyes guarded, lips tight. He thought she feared him. He liked it that way. But lately something shifted. She held his gaze longer, smiled at his compliments, laughed once. He hadn't imagined it. Had he? Maybe he'd just mistaken kindness for connection. Maybe he wasn't as in control as he thought. Dinner was silent. Anna served Bradley his steak and potatoes as always, hands steady, face unreadable. He watched her closely, the air between them thick with what neither of them dared say. "Is everything all right?" he asked finally. She paused. "Of course, sir." Sir. That word sliced deeper than it should have. He gave her a long, searching look, but said nothing, and she walked away. Andrew sat alone, sharpening a pair of shears under the light of a single hanging bulb. When the door opened and Anna stepped inside, his heart leapt, then dropped at her expression. "We can't do this," she said softly. "I know," he said, "but I can't pretend it meant nothing." Her eyes welled up. "It didn't, but it doesn't matter. Not here, not with him watching." The silence between them said what they didn't. They weren't just scared of Bradley. They were scared of what they were feeling, and they were already trying to bury it alive. The storm outside had arrived. Rain pounded against the estate's windows, thunder rolled low through the clouds, and several power lines in the nearby town were out. The estate staff had been told to stay in the house until the winds passed. Even the gardener, even Anna. Bradley Garrett paced the length of the marble foyer, one hand in his pocket, the other clenched into a fist. The power flickered. The house creaked, and all three of them were trapped inside. Anna tried to keep busy, chopping vegetables she wouldn't use, rearranging pantry items no one cared about. Her nerves danced with every footstep echoing from the hallway. She turned to find Bradley standing silently in the doorway, watching her. "You don't have to work today," he said. "There's nowhere to go." She nodded, not meeting his eyes. "It calms me." He stepped closer. "Anna, can I ask you something?" His voice was low, measured. She froze. He reached for a glass, filling it from the sink. "Is there something going on between you and Andrew?" She blinked. "Sir?" "I asked a question." Her breath caught in her throat. "Why does it matter?" Silence. Bradley set the glass down with more force than necessary. "Because this is my house, and I don't like secrets living under my roof." Anna met his eyes then, for the first time in days. "And I don't like being watched," she said, voice steady. "Especially when I've done nothing wrong." The tension cracked between them, but neither looked away. Andrew was fixing the generator wiring when Anna stepped inside, water dripping from her coat. The storm had intensified. The estate buzzed with emergency lighting. "They said you might be down here," she said. He looked up. "You okay?" "No." A pause. "Me neither." They stood in silence for a long moment, listening to the storm. "I told him," she whispered. "Or, he told me." Andrew sighed, closing the generator panel. "Guess there's no hiding now. We're stuck here, all of us." He gave a sad smile. "Sounds like a trap." She leaned against the wall. "Or a test." He stepped closer, close enough to hear her heartbeat, and for a moment the storm outside was the only thing reminding them they weren't alone in the world. Bradley stood at the window, drink in hand, watching rain stream down the glass. He heard footsteps behind him and didn't turn. He already knew it was her. "You love him?" he asked without turning. Anna said nothing for a long time. Then, "I don't know, but with him, I feel free." That answer hit harder than yes. Bradley closed his eyes, swallowing back something sharp and raw. If this story has pulled you in this far, don't leave without subscribing. If you're rooting for Anna, for love, or even for truth, hit that button. We've got more to uncover together. The rain hadn't stopped, and neither had the storm inside the house. Anna stood in the doorway of the library, soaked, breath trembling, uncertain if she should have come here. But she came anyway. Bradley was still at the window, his back to her, scotch in hand. His reflection in the glass was hollowed, haunted almost. "I wasn't going to tell you," Anna said softly. He turned, eyes cold. "But you let me find out." A beat. "I didn't plan it," she whispered. "I never expected to fall in love with a Gardner." His tone was sharp, bitter. "You know how that sounds, don't you?" She flinched, but she didn't walk away. "You think I don't know what people say about me?" she asked. "A black maid in a billionaire's mansion. You think I haven't heard the jokes, the assumptions, but I kept my head down. I gave everything to this job, and all I ever got was silence." Bradley stared at her, for the first time, truly listening. "I see people like you," she continued. "You move the world with money, but you don't know how to look someone in the eye if they can't do something for you." Bradley didn't deny it, but then he set the drink down. "You think this house didn't change me too?" Anna's brow furrowed. "I wasn't always like this," he said, voice quieter now. "I built this empire to prove something, to people who said I'd never be more than the kid whose mother cleaned offices at night. I used to sleep in her mop closet while she worked." Anna's eyes widened. "I swore I'd never need anyone again," he added, "that no one would ever have power over me, not a woman, not love." The silence between them grew heavy, until Anna asked, "So now what? You control the house, the staff, the power. But what happens when you can't control what people feel?" Bradley didn't answer, because he couldn't. Andrew stood with a trowel in his hand, watching Anna gently water the orchids. "You ever think about leaving this place?" he asked her. "All the time." "Why don't you?" She looked up at him. "Because every time I pack my bags, I remember there's nothing waiting for me out there." Andrew stepped closer. "Then maybe you need to stop looking for a place and start looking for a person." That was the moment she felt it. That maybe, just maybe, someone could finally be her home. At this point, can you feel who's truly broken and who's just trying not to be? If you were Anna, would you believe Bradley's pain or stay with the one who sees you now? Comment your truth. We want to know. The storm knocked the estate's power out completely. Only backup generators hummed quietly through the mansion, dimming the halls with emergency lighting. The kitchen staff had gone to bed. The guards stayed at their posts. But downstairs, in the warm glow of the laundry room, Anna and Andrew sat on a stack of folded sheets, whispering like two kids hiding from the world. Anna wrapped her arms around her knees. "You know what scares me the most?" Andrew looked at her gently. "Tell me." "That maybe I'm not supposed to be loved like this." Andrew's eyes softened. "Then I guess I'm not supposed to love like this either." They laughed, quiet, tired, but honest. She leaned her head against his shoulder, and for the first time in days she let herself breathe. "I didn't want to fall for anyone here," she whispered. "I didn't plan on falling for you," he replied. "But God, Anna, I did." He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a dried white jasmine flower pressed between a folded napkin. "I saved this the first time you walked past the orchid bed," he said. "You tucked one behind your ear, and I knew then I was in trouble." Her lips parted, her eyes filled, and just like that she kissed him again. But slower this time, certain, no more hiding. Bradley sat in the dark, the room lit only by the flicker of his fireplace. He wasn't working, he wasn't drinking. He was holding something he hadn't touched in years, a photograph of him a little younger, holding his daughter Ava when she was 3, back when he thought money could protect love. Now he understood. It never could. His fingers gripped the frame tighter. He didn't know if he was angry at Anna or angry at himself, for thinking that maybe, just maybe, she had seen the broken boy behind the billionaire mask. Anna lay across Andrew's lap, her eyes closed, his hand stroking her hair. "You know what I wish," she whispered. "What?" "That we were anywhere but here." Andrew looked down at her. "Then let's leave." She blinked up at him. "I'm serious," he said. "When this storm ends, let's go. Just disappear." She sat up slowly, stunned. "You'd do that for me?" He smiled. "I'd do that with you." The storm was gone, the sky clear and mocking. Bradley Garrett stood at the breakfast table, untouched coffee in hand, his face unreadable. But his eyes, sharp, waiting, were locked on the front door as Andrew walked in from the garden, wiping sweat from his forehead. Anna was already in the room, frozen mid-pour, pitcher trembling in her hand. "Sit," Bradley said coldly. Andrew looked at Anna. She shook her head slightly. "Mr. Garrett," Andrew began. "I said sit." Andrew obeyed, jaw clenched. Bradley turned toward Anna. "Did you think I wouldn't find out?" Silence. "Or did you just hope I wouldn't care?" Anna finally spoke. "What are you going to do?" He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into a drawer and tossed a white envelope across the table. "Your final pay. Termination. Effective immediately." Anna's breath hitched. "You're firing me." He turned to Andrew. "Both of you." Andrew stood up slowly. "You don't own us." "No," Bradley said, "but I trusted you." Anna's voice cracked. "Trusted me? You never saw me. You never knew me." "I wanted to," Bradley snapped. "I tried." "No, you wanted to possess me," she said, voice rising, like everything else in this house. That landed. Bradley's hands curled into fists. "He doesn't love you. He just wants to escape the life he hates." "And what do you want?" she demanded. "To punish me for choosing something real over something rich?" The word struck like a slap. Andrew stepped forward. "Say what you need to say, Garrett. But don't stand there and pretend you loved her, because love doesn't act like this." The room fell deathly still. Bradley's voice dropped. "You'll both be gone by noon. If not, I'll make sure neither of you gets hired anywhere else in this city again." Anna's eyes welled. "Then do it." She turned, walked away, but not defeated, only heartbroken. Andrew stared at Bradley one last time. "You didn't lose because I kissed her. You lost because she looked at you for 2 years, and you never looked back." He followed Anna out the door. Bradley stood there alone, surrounded by everything, and yet empty. Anna threw her things into a bag. Tears streamed down her cheeks, not from fear but from grief, the kind that only comes when something almost beautiful slips through your hands. Andrew entered, but neither spoke. She turned to him. "Maybe we were stupid." "No," he whispered. "We were brave." But it didn't feel like victory. It felt like goodbye. Have you ever loved something so risky that it left you shattered? Would you still choose it again? Let us know. You're not alone. Anna sat at the edge of a twin bed in a dimly lit motel room, her packed bag still zipped by the door. The world outside buzzed to life again, but she couldn't move. Her phone screen lit up with a missed call. Bradley Garrett. She didn't answer. Didn't want to hear a voice coated in pride or regret. She wanted peace. And maybe she'd finally bought herself some, but it didn't feel like peace. It felt like grief, wearing quiet clothes. Andrew entered, coffee in hand. "You okay?" Anna didn't look up. He called. Andrew sat beside her. "You gonna call him back?" "I don't know," she whispered. "I feel like if I do, I lose." Andrew nodded. "And if you don't?" She was quiet a long time before saying, "Then I might lose something even more important." He didn't speak. He didn't have to, because sometimes the hardest choices aren't between right and wrong. They're between fear and love. Bradley stood in the center of the now empty kitchen. No scent of rosemary, no hum of quiet footsteps, no Anna. Just echo. He stared at the empty teacup she used every morning, still on the drying rack, and suddenly the smallest things became massive reminders of what he lost, not just as a man of wealth, but as a man who finally felt something real. He scrolled through his phone. Her name was still there. No messages sent, just typed and erased. A knock came at the door. It was Ava, his teenage daughter. Unexpected, awkward. "Mom said I should visit, spend the weekend." Bradley blinked. "Yeah, of course. Come in." She stepped inside, scanned the massive halls. "It's quiet." "Yeah," he replied. "It's been that way lately." She sat down at the table and picked up the tea mug. "You used to drink tea." "That wasn't mine," he said softly. "It was hers." Ava raised an eyebrow. "Someone special?" He hesitated. "Maybe. The most." Anna stood outside, the motel behind her, Andrew sitting quietly nearby. She held her phone in both hands, thumbs hovering over the screen. She exhaled deeply, then slowly, finally, called. Bradley's phone lit up. He stared at the name. Anna. He answered on the third ring. Neither of them spoke for a few seconds. Then she said, "I didn't call to fix it. I just needed to say something." "I'm listening," he said, voice cracked open. "I wasn't trying to hurt you. I didn't want you to feel betrayed. I just found something I didn't know I needed." "I know," he said, "but I need you to know something too." Pause. "I wanted to be enough for you, but I never knew how." Silence. Then Anna whispered, "So what now?" Bradley closed his eyes. "I don't know, but I'd give anything to find out. Together. If you've made it this far, you've felt it, the cost of pride, the ache of almost love. Subscribe now, because what comes next is the moment we all wait for. The sun was soft and golden. Children played in the distance. A jazz musician strummed quietly near the fountain. And Anna Cross sat on a wooden bench watching the world, no longer running from it, She hadn't gone back to the estate. Not yet. Andrew arrived first, coffee in hand. "You didn't have to come," she said. "I wanted to see you," he replied, "even if it's not forever." She looked at him. "You meant what you said, about leaving everything behind." "I did," he said, "but I'd never ask you to do that, unless it's what you really want." Anna looked at him, the man who saw her long before anyone else dared to. "I love you, Andrew." He smiled even as his eyes stung. "I love you too." She reached for his hand. "But I need to do something first." Bradley stood in the greenhouse, the place it all started. The orchids were wilting slightly. No one had tended to them. He knelt for the first time in years and began to clip away the dead stems himself. It was strange how small acts felt like healing. Footsteps echoed behind him. He looked up. Anna. He rose slowly, stunned. "You came back." "I needed to say something in person." He nodded. She took a breath. "You don't get to fire me for feeling something, and I don't get to stay silent to protect your pride." Bradley swallowed hard. "I never wanted to hurt you." "But you did," she said gently, "by thinking you could own something you never earned." Bradley nodded, tears forming. "You're right." There was silence. Then he stepped closer. "I wanted you to know, I rehired Andrew, told him the truth, that I was wrong, that I let my fear make my decisions." Anna blinked. "You did?" He nodded. "And if you still want to go, I'll understand. But if there's even a sliver of a chance you'll stay, not because I ask, but because you believe in something new, I'd fight for that." Anna stepped forward. "I'm not staying for you, Bradley. I know," he said quietly. "I'm staying for me." "Then," she smiled, "but I think we both have a lot to learn." He returned the smile, smaller, realer. Andrew walked through the now blooming garden, finding Anna by the orchids. She turned as he approached. "You came back," he said. She nodded. "So did the flowers." He chuckled. "So, where do we go from here?" She took his hand. "Wherever we want. No secrets, no fear." They stood together, sun breaking through the clouds, laughter rising gently in the distance. And for the first time, not just in the house, not just in each other, but in themselves, they felt free. Do you believe true love can survive even after being tested this hard? Have you ever had to choose between pride and the possibility of something real? Share your story in the comments, and if this hits something in you, don't leave without subscribing. This is the kind of love we tell around here, and we're just getting started.